Well, I want to welcome you back again, and hope you're having some good discussions about a theology of place. And I want to continue on thinking about some of these things. You know, when you have a theology of place, especially in a city, I think you begin to find that cities are very diverse. Cities, as Ray Bakke says, are laboratories for mission. And the more you have a theology of place, the more diverse your ministry has to become. Ray Bakke wrote a book called A Theology as Big as the City. And when you have a theology as big as the city, you will have a missiology as diverse as the city. So I want you to think about that. And as we look at a few more PowerPoint slides as to how that is lived out. Here's how I like to look at the city. I like to look at the city kind of through a lens like a pizza that's transparent with many divisions and many sectors. And you can see this pizza has three large quarters to it. I call them peoples, places, and passions. If you go onto our website, YWAMSFBayArea.com, you will see this, how we've designed our website: peoples, places, passions. And so what we're trying to do here is look, you know, when you think about how do I reach a whole city, no one person, no one event, no one church can reach an entire city. But when we break the city into divisions and we really focus on those divisions and we raise up what I call micro-focused leaders in each one of those divisions that focuses on that division, then we will see the city reached. So let me take the first division here, which I call peoples. And when I talk about peoples, I'm not just talking about all peoples. As I said earlier, I'm talking about the peoples who would find it difficult to go to church. And so we want to identify those peoples, the peoples that are beyond the reach of the local church or would find it difficult to go to church. And so we really want to look at cities through that lens of the ethnic groups, the linguistic groups, the unreached people groups, and then begin to raise up teams or leaders that would take on those singular groups. You can just look here at the San Francisco Bay Area, and you can see so many people groups. We need so many micro-focused leaders that would build teams that would reach into those specific areas. So we begin to see that, you know, like for instance, the Yemeni or the Afghan or the Iranians, each one of these would need a specific focused leader that raises up a team around him and or her, and then focus on these peoples and see them brought into the kingdom of God. So one is what I call peoples, and then the next is what I call places. And places are neighborhoods, and neighborhoods are distinct areas of many cities, not all cities, but many cities have distinct neighborhoods that take a particular methodology or demeanor or strategy in how to reach that neighborhood. And that neighborhood could be a university campus, or it could be a large company like Googleplex or Old Navy or whatever the company may be. And Christians are incarnating as employees or as students in those campuses or in those companies or in those neighborhoods, and they're reaching out. You can go onto YouTube and look at our ministry called Love Your Neighbor. and see some of the videos that they're producing of how to reach their upper class neighbors during the COVID season. And it's been very, very effective. So number one is people. Number two is places. Now look at San Francisco. We're a city of neighborhoods. And all these neighborhoods that are there before you, we're trying to find micro-focused leaders that would not live at the YWAM base, but would live in the neighborhoods. And they would raise up teams of full-time YWAM staff or teams of local Christians who are living in those neighborhoods, who become a part of the mission of reaching that neighborhood. So we're really excited about what God is doing. And when I look at cities all over the world, all cities have unique neighborhoods. Some cities are really neighborhood centric, like San Francisco. Then there's other cities that are not so neighborhood centric, but still have unique places that require a certain strategy. So people, then places, and then you can see here, so I'm putting in the different neighborhoods of the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm doing this from a very large lens, so I'm looking at the whole Bay Area. I put in like the company Google, Apple, and Cisco, and universities, and East Oakland, and the city of Sausalito or Berkeley. So, I'm looking at it from a very macro level, or you can come down to a very micro level, like a city specific in some of its neighborhoods. And then the third area is the area of passions, which we get into really the 7 spheres of society and beyond. And so it could be like the area of skateboarding, which fits in arts. When you just take arts alone and you start breaking it into smaller slices, you will get skateboarding and fine art, and you'll get music, and you'll get poetry, and you'll get so many other expressions of the different types of arts. And each one of those fields requires a micro-focused leader that would take on that area and really incarnate the gospel in that area. So you can begin to see how that starts filling out with different expressions. Now, notice I put in there University of the Nations training, because that's really a passion, Christian education. And so I've put that in that field there to flesh it out a little bit more so that you can see. So what we're looking now for, as you can see, is in each slice of the urban pie, whether it's upper class or lower class or middle class or inner city or outer city, it doesn't matter. The city is the city. And we're looking at all sectors of the city. We're looking for micro apostolic leaders and teams that gather around that leader, and they focus on a particular people, place, or passion with, let me say this very strongly, with a long-term commitment. I'm particularly looking for people that will make a 5-year commitment to pioneering new ministries in the San Francisco Bay Area in any one of these slices of the urban pizza pie that I'm drawing here. I call these people micro apostolic leaders. Now, overseeing that might be someone who's like a city coordinator. That's kind of the macro leader that's looking over it. But let me say this very clearly. Macro leaders are of no value unless they're releasing micro-focused leaders. And micro-focused leaders are not small people. Micro-focused leaders are people that have very narrow vision to a particular piece of the urban pie, but they're very powerful people that are raising up others around them and are moving in authority to see the kingdom of God come in that area. I'd like you to go on to YouTube and look up my name, Tim Svoboda. Go to my YouTube channel, and there's a playlist there called Micro Apostolic Leaders. And I've put many different videos in that channel. Some of them are 2 minutes long, some are 5 minutes long, of different micro apostolic leaders, whether it's in the area of justice, or it's in the area of a restaurant, or it's in the area of evangelism, or working amongst the poor. And I'd like you to watch at least 2 videos, and then come back and discuss amongst yourselves what is a micro focused leader, and who are you? Are you a micro focused leader, or are you a macro focused leader that wants to release many micro focused leaders? When we look at a city, we need just a few macro focused leaders, and we need thousands of micro focused leaders. And remember, micro focus doesn't mean small. I can introduce you to some of my friends who are micro focused leaders, and they are some of the most powerful people speaking in some of the biggest churches, but they're extremely focused in a particular slice of the urban pie. They're speaking in churches that I could never speak in, and they have authority, they have the spirituality, and their ministry, though it may be very narrowly focused in a particular slice of the urban pie, it's macro in its application. There's one video on my playlist called Slums of Madras. And that is a micro-focused ministry with macro applications. They're not just doing one thing in that ministry, they're doing multiple things in that ministry, from church planting to relief work to therapy to all different types of ministry that's going on. I think you can count maybe 7 or 8 different expressions. When you become micro-focused and you zero down, your applications become macro-focused, and you begin to be multiple. Your ministries become multiplied in many different facets in that one micro-focus. So take some time and look over that video, and then we'll come back later and we'll talk about some other issues.